Broadcasting live. It's America's longest running talk show on computers. It's Computer America, bringing you the biggest names in technology with guest interviews, new products, and your emails. Listen live at computeramerica.com on any device around the world. Email the show at live@computeramerica.com or find us on social media. Be sure to check out our website for contests, giveaways, show notes, live video stream, podcasts, and more. You're listening to Computer America.
Hello and welcome everyone into the Computer America Show. We are the nation's longest running, nationally syndicated radio talk show on computers and technology turned podcast. Everyone, welcome into the Computer America Show. I hope that you're doing well. You are ready for today's program. And that's because today, you may have guessed, it's Friday. That means we have Ralph Bond. He'll be joining us here in just a moment to talk all about some amazing science and tech stories that odds are you probably haven't heard of. And that's a shame because these are really, really fun stories. So with that being said, computeramerica.com. That's where you'll find every story that we talk about. Past, future, present, doesn't matter. computeramerica.com. Check it out. Right at the top, we have a section for Ralph Bond. If you are, actually, let's go ahead and bring on Ralph Bond here right now. And then I'm going to do this because when I do this, you can see his picture. So Ralph, welcome back onto Computer America. Hopefully you've been well.
Yeah, it's great to be back.
Perfect. Yeah. So I was going to say, I was going to pull this up. Computer America right here at the top. You can see Ralph Bond to my left and Ralph Bond segment right here. And you can see the stories right here. So there you go. Head on over to Computer America. You can see everything right there. But Ralph, thank you for joining us. And for everyone out there, why don't you go ahead and give any new listeners out there the rundown what we try to do here.
Yeah. If you're brand new to the show today, welcome. It's wonderful. And let me explain what Ben and I do. Every Friday, we look at and highlight 4 articles that show us key trends and developments in a host of things: artificial intelligence, robotics, medical technology, sustainable energy technology, transportation advances, agricultural technology, construction technology, space research, physics, on and on and on, you name it. But here's the deal, folks. Most important of all, we're going to give you hope for a better future, thanks to amazing breakthroughs happening every single day in the world of science and technology.
Absolutely. And we're going to go ahead and start with story number 1. Big fan of Hyundai. And let's talk about, Ralph, when, recently we were shopping for a car, I'll be honest, I was ready, and don't let my wife hear this. I was ready to commit to the fully electric. I was like, it may be a pain in the neck to go long distances, but I'm ready to go tackle it. I'm ready for the long charging times, maybe the ability to not find a charging station, the range anxiety that comes with an electric car. But I was like, I'm ready. And she's like, no way in hell. And I'm like, all right, we're not going to do that. So, we got a hybrid. That's okay. But what if some of those, some of the things that I just outlined, what if we took care of those? Would more people jump into electric cars fully and honestly? And maybe that's, the hope here. So story number 1.
Yeah, story number 1, and I'll editorialize on something you and I have talked about many times in the past. If you're on the market for a car today, hybrid, that's fine. Consider a plug-in hybrid. It's the best of both worlds. Our RAV4 plug-in gets about 40 miles on average, pure electric. And then once that's expended, it shifts into traditional hybrid. We're still getting the hybrid benefit, but most of our driving is local around town, and we're almost 99% electric without having to worry about range anxiety, which is a big issue. But with that said, I'm off my soapbox about plug-in hybrids. Let's get into this first story. This comes from Electric, electrek.com. Fun website. Headline: Hyundai wants to cut EV charging time to 3 minutes, as fast as filling up a gas car. That's the holy grail of EV range anxiety benefit here.
Yeah.
And my comment here about this, Ben, this is a key trend to watch. All these efforts to dramatically cut charging time for EVs combined with battery capacity technology push.
It's kind of weird because I think it actually does follow the same type of trend that happens with smartphones. I don't know if you noticed it as well. Like back, just even a couple years ago was like you plug your phone in, let's say 10% every 5 minutes or whatever. And it took, an hour to get a full charge, whatever. It was pretty gradual.
Right.
But now, Ralph,
Right.
like there's this trend with smartphones where it's like you plug it in and it does like this weird rapid charge where it'll give you like 70-80% of your phone battery in like the first 15 minutes. And then the
Yeah.
rest takes a little bit longer.
Right.
It seems to be the same thing for phones as it is for cars. I'm wondering if the two technologies have crossover, but I don't know.
Probably, I think you're onto something there. I think that's a valid point, and it is important. That's part of this equation of making EVs more attractive. So even if you can recharge something in 3 minutes, that's all well and good. But if you don't have charging stations like we have gasoline stations ubiquitously everywhere, right? It's still a big challenge. But with that said, let's go on here. Hyundai's electric vehicles like the Ioniq 5 are among the fastest charging EVs, but the company says it's still not quick enough. To match a typical gas fill-up, Hyundai believes 3 minutes is the magic number for EV charging times. That's a very, very lofty goal. Built on the E-GMP platform, the Hyundai Ioniq 5 and Ioniq 6 can recharge from 10 to 80% in as little as 18 minutes using a 350 kilowatt DC fast charger and 800 volt system. That's very
That's
impressive.
powerful, but also
Yeah.
that's very fast.
Oh, that is incredibly fast. Yeah. And in the show notes, and this, friends, if you're new to the show and you're listening to us as a podcast, please come out to computeramerica.com. Get today's show notes if you want to learn more, because I've inserted a whole bunch of information about what is Hyundai's E-GMP platform. And you can geek out on that and learn a whole lot more about it if you're interested. But getting back to the story, although that's already among the best in the industry, Hyundai's current power system, Hyundai is pushing even faster charging. According to Tyrone Johnson, head of Hyundai Motor Europe Technical Center, drivers are looking for EV charging times of around 3 minutes, as we've said a couple of times before here. And to achieve 3-minute charging times, Hyundai is working to bring 400 kilowatt charging to market. By doing so, Hyundai will not only cut EV charging times to match the time it takes to fill up a gas tank, but also provide a longer driving range without using a bigger, more expensive battery. So interesting thing that's going on with Hyundai. And it's, again, it's not the answer, it's part of a total answer involving other technologies.
Yeah, it's all about getting those charge times down, because it's, like I said at the very opening, it's like, yeah, there's range anxiety, there's finding a charging station, that you alluded to, finding the right charging station, but also, just the time and the headache. So, reduce the pain points, and, electric cars have seen a little bit of a pullback in demand, but hey, it won't always be that way. It's hard to imagine, Ralph, that gas engines are, the way of the future. It's probably just going to be fully electric, and the quicker we get there, the better that we solve the pain points, the faster we get there, and the better for everyone.
So true.
Perfect there. So story number 1, you can find that there. Again, thank you, Electric. Story number 2, we're going to go ahead and jump on down to Japan, and we're going to talk about something that might be a bit of a head scratcher, but Ralph, ladies and gentlemen, you've always been asking, where's the battery breakthrough? Well, here you go. Quantum battery. Have fun.
Yes. Anytime you dive into the world with quantum mechanics and whatever, for me, it's like, oh, head scratcher till I bleed. My head is bleeding. It's such geeky stuff. And so, fair warning here, this next story is very, very geeky, but interesting. Comes from ScienceDaily.com. Headline: Japanese scientists unveil a quantum battery that defies energy loss. Okay, well, we have the article link, of course, in the show notes, and we have a link to their research paper as well. But let's get into this. Japanese researchers at Riken, R-I-K-E-N, which is an anglicized translation, an acronym of what is referring to the Institute of Physical and Chemical Research in Japan, okay? So they've designed a breakthrough topological quantum battery that resists energy loss and decoherence, two major hurdles in quantum energy systems. Folks, this is geeky. I don't profess to really understand it.
Who has to stay up at night just wondering how to solve decoherence in quantum batteries? That's everyone does that.
Yeah, I could personally relate to energy loss and decoherence every day. Okay, so a little side note here. A quantum battery is a new type of energy storage device that uses the principles of quantum mechanics, like like superposition. Remember, that's where a qubit can be on and off at the same time. Okay, that's weird. And the other factors in quantum mechanics like entanglement and quantum coherence to store and release energy far more efficiently than traditional chemical batteries. Now, remember, traditional batteries like lithium ion rely on chemical reactions to store and release energy. Quantum batteries instead use quantum states of atoms, ions, or photons to hold energy. How this happens? No idea. It's so weird. It's just weird and wonderful all at the same time.
Ralph, story number 1 had to do with a 3-minute charge. This next point, apparently there's something faster than, quick charge.
Oh, gosh. Yeah, it's wild. And because of quantum effects, they can theoretically achieve instant charging, lossless energy transfer, and infinite cycle life. This is like the dream come true.
This seems like the cop-out way for like science fiction writers to make a spaceship. It's like, oh, it's a quantum battery. It instantly charges, transfers energy losslessly, and has infinite cycle. Of course, it's great. It seems like a lazy way of writing, but I guess it's science.
Yeah, pretty wild. And earlier we mentioned this is called a topological quantum battery. And what's that all about? Little side note injected into the story here that I inject. In physics, topology refers to properties of a system that remain stable even when the system is disturbed. A topological quantum battery leverages these properties to protect energy transfer from dissipation or loss. This means energy can be stored and moved with remarkable stability. So that's what topological means in this context. Pretty wild. So how the Institute of Physical and Chemical Research in Japan, how their battery works. It uses the topological characteristics of photonic waveguides and the quantum behavior of two-level atoms to store and transfer energy. Well, of course, I understand that completely.
Obviously. But I will say, just from that one sentence alone, just to again highlight to everyone out there listening, sounds great, but I can't imagine two atoms or two-level atoms transferring that much energy. This seems like extremely cutting-edge research.
Okay, friends, what the heck is a two-level atom to begin with? Yeah, if you're a geek, go to the research paper. We have the link. You can check it out. But let's get into the advantages over conventional batteries. Well, first of all, faster charging, higher capacity, long-distance energy transfer, and immunity to dissipation, which are monstrously attractive. Features and potential uses include, this also is geeky, nanoscale energy storage. Oh, sure. Optical quantum communication. Okay. And distributed quantum computing systems. All things that I have right here in my home.
All things that are probably going to be very relevant in 50 to 100 years. But Ralph, hey, it all takes little pieces. So this is one of them.
There you go. So the researchers in Japan aim to bridge the gap between theory and practice, moving toward real-world deployment of quantum batteries. So again, we're talking about early research here, folks. This is all in the lab right now. And again, what they're saying in the article is their goal, of course, is to bring this to practicality for real world deployment. Quantum batteries could revolutionize energy storage by eliminating inefficiencies tied to chemical reactions. They're especially promising for quantum computers and communication systems where traditional batteries are impractical. And lithium ion, however, reality check, the author is very clear about this. Lithium ion will remain dominant for everyday devices until quantum batteries move from theory to practice. So we're giving you talk about a trend. This is a twinkle in the eye stage of this technology, but very intriguing and super mind-bendingly geeky.
Yes. Yeah. To be clear, when it says something like, let's see, researchers aim to bridge the gap between theory and practice, moving toward real-world deployment in quantum batteries. Ben saying, hey, we should have quantum batteries. That also is moving towards real-world deployment of quantum batteries. Just saying, someone saying, we should do that. And then, of course, these scientists are actually doing real science to bring that to fruition, but it's very, very early stages. But still, hey, it's research that you should, at least hear about. Just know that someone's working on this. You can stay watching cartoons. Someone else is working on this. So
and don't forget, this still blows my mind. This technology uses the topological characteristics of photonic waveguides and the quantum behavior of two-level atoms to store and transfer energy. Well, sure.
Yeah, bring that up around the coffee cooler on Monday. Or the coffee cooler, the water cooler on Monday. It's going to be great. I'm going to stumble over words when my one job is words. So, hey, good job, Japan. So, story number 2, story number 3. We're going to go ahead, bounce on down, and we're going to, talk about smart bandages. And if ever there were a trend, it seems like, when it comes to like trauma response, Ralph, it's a very low tech kind of field where bone broken, hold bone in place. Blood bleeding out, stop blood from bleeding out, keep it in body. It seems very low tech, but at the same time, having technology kind of wrapped up in a certain way with, emergency care and trauma care is really saving a lot of lives. And we're not just talking about in wartime, but, all over the place. So story number 3, hopefully, maybe not emergency situations like I was just talking about, but long-term, this could be something that, helps everyone. Like technology in even the most basic of medicine is making a difference.
Absolutely right. And normally, folks, again, if you're new to the show, normally our last of 4 stories is medical technology. Excuse me. In this week's show, both story 3 and story 4 are both in medical technology. So with that said, this story comes from IEEE Spectrum, a very geeky publication, by the way. And the headline here is Smart Bandage uses electricity and drugs to heal wounds. Subhead, the device uses an AI model, of course, to guide the healing process. So this is some very interesting stuff, to say the least. So researchers from the University of California, Santa Cruz, in collaboration with UC Davis and supported by DARPA's BETR program, which is Bioelectronics for Tissue Regeneration program, have developed a prototype smart bandage they call A-Heal. So the letter A-Heal, which uses AI-guided electrical stimulation and drug delivery to accelerate wound healing. Talk about geeky. When you say bandage, you think, well, that sounds like boring, low-tech, a Band-Aid, slap it on. No, this is it's not your grandfather's Band-Aid, to say the least.
and also, sweaters off, hats off to test animals. They're kind of making this all possible. But yeah, you get to see a little pig in a little spandex suit. So
Yes, and Ben is referencing the pictures in the show notes. Again, come out to computeramerica.com to get the show notes so you can see what we're talking about. Tested on pigs, it showed faster tissue growth and reduced inflammation compared to traditional bandage dressings. Now, here's an overview of the device. A-Heal fits inside a commercial colostomy bandage. So a little side note here, a commercial colostomy bandage usually looks like a flat adhesive barrier with a central opening for the stoma, we'll explain that in a moment, attached to a small pouch or covered with absorbent material if used temporarily instead of a pouch. A stoma is a surgically created opening on the body that allows waste, stool, urine, or air to exit when the normal route isn't possible. So that's what we're talking about. So they're using a design that's inspired by colostomy bandages. So that's the point here. So this A-Heal system is equipped with a camera. Get this. A-Heal is equipped with a camera that takes wound images every 2 hours. And it's wirelessly connected to a machine learning, there's your AI, wirelessly connected to a machine learning module called ML Physician. So let's talk about the AI functionality of this solution. ML Physician analyzes wound images, compares them with training data, and determines healing stage. Wow.
Hmm.
And based on analysis, it decides whether to apply electrical stimulation or deliver fluoxetine. I hope I'm saying that right. Fluoxetine, a drug that promotes tissue growth, using a closed loop feedback system to continuously adjust treatment. And the treatment mechanism, electrical stimulation that reduces inflammation, drug delivery via iontophoresis, Iontophoresis. Wow, precisely controls dosage. So it's a precise dosage controlling. And this process is a way of using a very gentle electrical current to push medicine or block sweat through the skin without needles. The bandage alternates treatment. Pardon me. The bandage alternates treatments depending on healing stage possibilities. Wow, man. Just amazing.
It seems like the electrical part I've heard about the electrical stimulation to manage pain and promote tissue growth. I've heard about obviously applying drugs is nothing new, but to be able to do this in real time with machine learning, that seems to be a real and of course all of this being wrapped up in one device. That seems to be kind of the new thing is AI kind of makes this possible.
Well, yeah, and I think the new element that I've never heard of before, not that I'm omni-knowledgeable about all the things going on in the world, but it's the camera. Remember that camera every 2 hours is capturing an image of the wound's progress and healing and feeding that to the large language model. And then that leads to decisions about the electrical stimulation and drug applications. So that's the part that intrigues me. It's that, and it's almost as if you have a nurse or a doctor watching that wound every 2 hours and making decisions. That's pretty cool.
As someone who had to bring a parent home, and she had like kidney surgery. My mother had kidney surgery, and they want you out of the hospital as quick as possible because not only does it free up resources, but hospitals just aren't that safe when you're recovering. They want you to recover at home, ideally. But Ralph, if this could be, in the future, something that is affixed to you and it could help you heal, watch you heal, and those images can, kind of be used to monitor you, that's way better than trusting Ben, who has no medical degree, to monitor that wound. So
there you go.
Yeah, this has a lot of promise.
Oh yeah, and to your point, because it's capturing this information and so forth, it involves using a smartphone as well, that you could transmit this information so a physician or a nurse could be monitoring remotely, to your point, not only on site, but remotely as well. So that's pretty cool. So the results of the pig trials, after 7 days, wounds treated with the A-Heal system had 50% new skin coverage compared to 20% in control wounds. What they mean by control wounds is you have one wound that's not benefiting from this system. It's more traditional. And the other wound benefiting from this new A-Heal system. So the A-Heal system wound, 50% new skin coverage faster compared to 20% in the control wounds. And inflammation, by the way, was reduced by 61%. That's incredible. And improvements were noted in the process by which a wound or exposed surface becomes covered with new epithelial tissue, restoring the protective outer layer of the skin or mucous membrane, as well as blood vessel growth and wound maturation. Wow, what a sophisticated, cool wound monitoring and healing device. Wow.
Yeah, it's I'm not too good with numbers, but 50 versus 20%, that's what is it, like 150% increase in skin coverage, wound coverage. Yeah, that's wow. I could imagine for post-op surgeries of all kinds, this would be really amazing. So
very cool stuff.
Very, very nice. And there you go. So story number 3, medical news. Story number 4, also medical news. And Ralph, if anyone out there is like, oh, technology's not going the way that I want it, us too, over the past 15 years or so, even longer, probably as soon as someone invented the first piece of technology, they were like, I don't like that. But hey, if you want to check out technology that you're like, okay, I do like that, check out medicine, because, by and large, we've seen a lot of amazing results. And Ralph, I think just like yesterday, I heard a story about, I think it was it no, it was HIV. HIV was cured in like a seventh person. And they're, that had to do with, a certain kind of treatment and, stem cells and that kind of thing.
Yeah.
But by and large, Ralph, they are making amazing strides in things that we never thought that we could, kind of cure, or, we were always like, we're a long way from curing cancer, for instance.
Right.
But hey, we're making great strides in these fields, and story number 4 kind of highlights that as well.
Yeah. And story number 4, another medical story, as Brent alluded to, certainly should leave you feeling uplifted and hopeful for the future. The headline here, and by the way, this comes from Columbia University, their Irving, Medical Center. This is the source. Headline: Focused ultrasound passes first test in treatment of brain cancer in children. Wow. So we have link to this posting. We have, of course, their research paper and so on. But let's get into this. Columbia University researchers are the first to show that focused ultrasound, a non-invasive technique that uses sound waves to enhance the delivery of drugs into the brain, can be safely used in children being treated for brain cancer. Oh, can you just imagine the horror of having a little child with brain cancer? Oh my gosh. So the focused ultrasound technique developed by Columbia engineers was tested in combination with chemotherapy in 3 children with diffuse midline glioma, glioma, a rare and aggressive brain cancer that is universally fatal. So it's a very serious situation. The study found that focused ultrasound successfully opened the blood-brain barrier in all 3 test patients, allowing the chemotherapy drug to reach the tumors and leading to some improvement in patient mobility. Now, the sad part of this story is, though all 3 little kid patients eventually died from their disease or complications of COVID. So it didn't have a happy ending, but the research is opening a path that may someday save the lives of children going forward. Now, you might be thinking, blood-brain barrier. I've heard this, but remind me again. Okay, the blood-brain barrier is a protective, semi-permeable filter formed by tightly packed cells in the brain's blood vessels that shields the brain from harmful substances while allowing essential nutrients to pass through. So again, they're using ultrasound technology to deliver medicine or drugs through that blood-brain barrier. So that's very cool. So Columbia has already launched a follow-up trial using focused ultrasound with etoposide, ETOPOSIDE, an FDA-approved chemotherapy drug that has shown activity against brain cancer cells. So this is early research. Tragic initial results, not due to the therapy or the technology, but a great promise for the future.
Yeah, it may seem disappointing, but the fact that it showed any kind of progress to something that was traditionally just, that's it. And instead you have an outcome that is signs of improvement. The initial phases, hey, it's it's a glimmer of hope, and in the future may actually prove to be a step towards actually treating this. So there you go. Story number 4. And hey, a little hopeful. I think we could have switched around 3 and 4 a little bit, to kind of leave you on a little bit more of a happier note, but that's okay. We're not done yet, because there's a bit more. If you are following along in the show notes, you may notice the show notes go on, and that's okay, because we try to keep the show a bit more concise for listening ease. But Ralph, we have honorable mentions, and these are stories that are just as good, just as great. You should know about them, hear about them, read about them. Go on out to computeramerica.com, get the show notes, find the stories with the links there. But we're at least going to leave you with the headlines, so you know what to look for when you head out there to Computer America. So Ralph, let's do that.
Yeah, here we go. Our first honorable mention of 4 comes from the Cool Down, which is a news outlet subset of MSN. And the headline here is research team develops game-changing material that could transform future buildings and challenges the idea. And what you're going to find out if you dive into this, and again, the show notes will give you all the information, is talking about turning egg shells into building material. This comes out of South Korea. Check it out.
The only thing we were doing with them before was like putting them in the garden for some reason. I don't know why, just throw them in the garden.
Yeah.
But other than that, yeah, great use.
I mean, how wild is that? Next one comes from livescience.com. Headline, Science History. Experiment shows mutations arise spontaneously, supporting the pillar of Darwinian evolution theory. This is a kind of a homeworky type of article. It's a fun one to check out. I encourage you to look at that too. And next one is from sciencealert.com. The headline, Breakthrough helps scientists grow more realistic human brain models. That's a medical one, obviously. Pretty cool. Check that out. And our last honorable mention is...
I don't know why, but I really like the picture you have in the show notes of a little brain on a little spoon. It's like, okay, yeah. I'm sure that's what they're working on.
I think the picture to the right is more in line with what's really going on. And our last one comes from slashgear.com. Headline, MIT, good old MIT, is one step closer to having building-sized batteries with this innovative tech. Building-sized batteries. Another example of trying to advance all-electric services and so on. So that's a cool story, and that wraps up our 4 honorable mentions for this week.
Absolutely. So with that being said, Ralph, these are all amazing stories, and ladies and gentlemen, you should check them out yourself if you don't believe us, if you just want to know more, because Ralph again gives us the the very skinny of it. And if you want more detail or you want to read these papers yourself, you can of course go out to computeramerica.com, find the section for Ralph Bond, and you can of course find everything right there. So we appreciate you so much for listening, tuning in. Thank you, Ralph, for always putting this together. And yeah, until next time, I want to thank you for tuning in. Have a great weekend. Do something fun. We, just to be clear here, just looking at my calendar real quick, we have, of course, we have one more show, and then I think we're going to skip the 26th, just give everyone a nice, calm, relaxing week, but then we will be back. Ideally, we'll talk to Ralph about this January 2nd. So everyone, thank you for tuning into the program. Have a great show, have a great weekend. We had a great show. Catch you next time. Bye, everyone.